Talking Music with Big Andy. This week, City Weezle are talking music with me, Big Andy. Oh, welcome to the podcast. Today I have with me Simon Fleury from the band City Weezle. Hi, Simon. How you doing?
Yeah, Andy, pleased to meet you, mate. Great
to meet you. Thank you for joining me on the show. Now, City Weezle are a band that I only became aware of literally about a week ago. But I was determined I wanted to get you on here because I'm fascinated by the band.
Delighted to be talking to you.
Now, it said, I found a description of the band as being an international rock fusion band with a punky swing rock edge.
That's the way we put it in our words.
Now, I found comparisons on some sites with Frank Zappa and Mr. Bungle.
100%. We're big fans of those two artists. 100%.
Well, that kind of intrigued me to start off with, and then I saw a list of influences, and I saw like Primus, Faith No More, Tenacious D, System of a Down, King Crimson, and the Melvins, which seems like a really weird mix of bands.
Well, we're definitely influenced by all those bands for sure. And in certain parts, different songs, there'll be different influences on different tracks, but I could hear all those influences in there.
Yes,
sure.
So could I, definitely. Now, for what I can work out, you were formed in 2004, is that right?
No, there must be some false information going out there somewhere. Okay. But we were formed basically 2006 is when we did our first gig. The first thing we ever did was recorded sort of a demo EP, and we'd never played a gig at that stage. It was just a bunch of songs. We had a bunch of songs, and then went into the studio, recorded them. So we would have done those in studio late 2005. And then our first gig was in 2006. So I wouldn't say we're a band until our first gig. So I would say if I was so and there's 2005 is out there, but I'd say we're a band since 2006 because that was our first gig. So
you're a very international band, and everything I saw online, almost every review, interview, or anything else I saw online, you seem to have a different lineup.
That was a long time ago in the past. So we were active between 2006 and 2010, literally, and we were an active band playing gigs, and so now this is sort of the reincarnation. We've come back with a second album. So we were active during those years. I put out an EP in 2012 just to sort of make a statement that we're going to be back. Right. But then there was a period of hiatus, which was the drummer. Well, we're back with more or less the same lineup that we had before, but with the rhythm section in any case. So we're a Japanese and yeah, there were a few earlier incarnations of the band. There was a lot of changing of musicians, but we basically we play all the same songs, but they're all great musicians. But
it's yourself from Ireland, the bass player and drummer are both from Japan, and the keyboard players from Germany. Yeah,
that's exactly it. Exactly it.
How did you all get together? How did the band all come together?
Well, I mean, for this recording, we didn't. Well, I met them all basically in Paris. The band was founded when I lived in Paris. So I met all the musicians that are working on this, more or less all of them. I met them over there when I was living over there. So I lived over there for the period of about 8 years. and that's when I founded the band. And any musician that's participated on it, sort of, not any musician that's participated on it, but mainly I would have met over there.
Right.
Like even the German guy, like we just met on a randomly on a weekend and hung out together, and he could sing all these Mr. Bungle keyboard parts. So I was just like, this kid's good. So I was like, I'll keep him in mind. And now he did an amazing job on the album. Axel, he's a beast.
Yeah, I got to say, I love your stuff, and it's kind of, there are a few bands I've come across since I've been doing this podcast, and I've said to them before, and I've got to say it to you, I always sat there and thought, why have I never heard of this band before? Why don't I know about this stuff? Because it's excellent. I love it.
Oh, I'm really appreciate you saying that, Andy. It's I'm delighted to be back doing it. I'm delighted to be back bringing it to life, because I missed this music when I wasn't doing it. So it's something. It means it means a lot to me. It's like, but we're looking forward now to getting this incarnation out on the road and get it together. So yeah, it's we're happy with the album, and number 2.
Yeah,
a little bit of a scatological reference there, but
well, I must admit that, I mean, the first thing that I would say, as soon as I started listening to the stuff, I could definitely see the Primus influence on it, because there's some of it that it would not sound out of place on one of their albums at all. It's so obviously there, and I mean, they're an amazing band. And again, the same with with the Zappa and Mr. Bungle, you can definitely see the influences are there. But it has got your own sort of voice as well, your own thing on it, and that sort of thing.
That's the well, I guess that's the goal, is to have all these influences and kind of do them our way, or do them with our sprinkle of what we're bringing to the table. Yeah, I think we have our own sound, in the sense that the kind of swing rock element maybe is our trademark, maybe a little bit. Especially on the past stuff, and some of the new stuff's a bit different, but we just want to keep it fresh and keep mixing it up. And there are songs in the past that sound super Primus and super Mr. There are other songs that sound like super Mr. Bungle, and on this album we've tried to sort of step back from just being as obvious with the Mr. Bungle influence, but there's still stuff. There's definitely a Primus influence on the new album. There's definitely been, well, all those influences are still there, just maybe less obvious, maybe, hopefully.
I mean, the thing as well is, as a band, you develop over time, and you develop your own sort of little pieces that sort of like you slip into things, which gives it your own voice and your own flavor,
our own sound, hopefully. Yeah.
So I mean, I've got to say, it's quite a unique sound. I haven't come across many bands around at the moment that are doing the sort of stuff you're doing.
Hopefully not.
How difficult has it been to kind of find places for that music to be played, and for you to play live, or to get your music out there on an outlet?
Well, we haven't done live gigs in a long time. Right now we're just promoting the album towards magazines and webzines, stuff like that. We haven't radio. We've gotten a little bit of radio play and stuff like that, but yeah, we're not being taken up by all the major radio networks or whatever. But for it's a matter of just keeping the head down and promoting it. And now coming to this cycle, we're gonna promote it over in Japan is the next big thing. So the two lads are in Japan. So we've sort of done this side of the pond promotion wise, and now over there we're going to try and get a good promo going on over there. Then after that, the goal is to get tour management sort of, and get a decent network through that, and get festival gigs. base a bunch of dates around that. So we'll make it happen. But yeah, we're any festival slots we'd be delighted to come and get it on.
Cool. No, I mean, I've been listening to some of your stuff and some of the stuff you got on YouTube and other places. I don't know. I really like it. I mean, I'm a big fan of Zappa. I love Primus, and you know, and the other bands you listed, System of a Down and King Crimson, are both brilliant bands, and they have their own kind of
amazing bands in their own respect. King Crimson, I'm a massive King Crimson fan. If the lineup, say Adrian Belew,
yeah,
Bill Bruford, Tony Levin, that's my dream lineup of.
It's funny. The other thing that I when I listened to a couple of tracks, I kind of heard, and it's the same sort of people. It's the same people, but it was the some of the stuff that David Bowie did on the Tin Machine album.
Oh, because Adrian Belew did, yeah. Belew played, but I knew that I didn't know how many. Like maybe there's more musicians involved with him, but I knew Adrian Belew was involved with David Bowie, and actually apparently he was picked straight up off of Zappa, because Adrian Belew played with Zappa and King Crimson. So apparently there's a story of Frank Zappa being in the same restaurant as David Bowie when he was picking up Adrian Belew, and they just randomly ended up meeting in the same restaurant. And while Adrian Belew was the guitar player for Frank Zappa, and David Bowie was recruiting him, apparently they ended up in the same restaurant in Berlin, and Frank Zappa was just like, "You fucker." He was just like, excuse my French, but
that's all right. Yeah.
He was peeved. What did he say? Uncle Tom, you steal my guitar player or something like that.
I mean, Zappa has always managed to surround himself with excellent musicians.
Yeah, it's incredible. He was an institution. He really ran an incredible ship he was always moving forward, nonstop recordings. Just the work ethic of the man is unbelievable. Just he was always recording and financing his stuff through his recordings as well. It was kind of like he used it as a machine. So like, I guess there's the downside to that is some, like, he might do 5 versions of the same song, and like I like the end result of it, but then the amount of material he came up with at the same time is undeniable. The amount of great material he came up with as well. So.
Absolutely, definitely. Let's have a look at a clip from a video.
My complexity, introspecting my intricacy. Well, how complex is my personality? Well, it's as complex as a complex personality could be.
The other thing that I found quite interesting was that the on the YouTube channel, when some of the videos, or some of the songs you've got videos for, which are montages of film clips, which are brilliantly put together. They really work well.
It's like over the lockdown, I got into starting doing these montages, and I got into it. Like, so since the lyrics are pretty graphical, I think, and they're thematic, I pulled. I was like, it'd be great to put these to imagery,
Yeah.
and use YouTube as a tool. Well, now I need to get back to it. I need to do the montages for this album, but yeah, YouTube is a great tool.
The other thing I noticed was the fact that some of them you just have like a single graphic image, which is like a cover thing for the thing, and I kind of noticed a kind of Zappa influence to them.
Oh yeah, well, it's definitely in there because it's gone. I'm a big fan of Zappa, so the imagery well, there is, Zappa did incredible stuff image wise as well, with the plasticine.
Well, the picture you used for Taboo, as soon as I saw it, it reminded me of the front cover of Weezle Rip My Flesh.
Yeah, there's definitely a Zappa, even in the artwork that's been done for this album as well. There is a Weasel's Rip My Flesh kind of vibe as well. So for both front covers, they're for both of our official albums of our LPs. There's this, I do agree, there is a Zappa vibe too.
Yeah.
And Weasel's Rip My Flesh is one of my favorite Zappa. It's up there in my favorite Zappa, in my top 10 or top 5 Zappa albums.
It's a great album.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that track, Taboo. That's a really good, really.
Taboo's a wacky, it's a really crazy, that's a really crazy track, very funky, kind of definitely massive Bungle influence there. And so that's one of the ones where we're most Bungle influenced, I believe. But yeah, it's a wacky track, and it's got a lot. Relearning it now, I'm kind of like, wow, this is a lot of cool stuff on it.
The other thing I noticed about, there's a few of them that kind of, it's interesting because it reminded me a little bit, there's a couple of bits in some of them that reminded me very much of their kind of the Afro funk stuff, things like, I'm just thinking some of the stuff that Quentin Tarantino's used for some of his films, things like Jungle Boogie.
Well, Jungle Boogie is like, we're influenced by funk rock James Brown stuff as well. But yeah, the bass player definitely adds with the slap and the our bass player at the time, Max, he was a big slap. He was a big component of slap and tap. So he does, a lot of the techniques Les Claypool would use. He actually was very proficient at using them. And our current bass player as well, Kengo, he's very proficient. He came and learned our repertoire. Story with Kengo, he came and learned our repertoire in the space of 2 weeks when we were on tour, and he literally came and nailed it, just like he'd been playing with us for years. Just in the space of 2 weeks, he learned all that repertoire and came on tour with us back in 2009, and he was just as nailed all those techniques. And impressive bass player. The
ones I listened to, I've got to just go through a few that I liked. There were lots of them, but I'll just go for a few of them. As I say, Taboo, I liked. Hot Potato,
Hot Potato, yeah, I dig that tune. Yeah,
and El Matador.
El Matador is another great one. Yeah, we haven't yet played that live, and I look forward to pulling that one off live, because it'd be with the flamenco part, it'll be a bit of a challenge, but we can do it.
It was interesting because it does change a bit, and it's what I love about all your stuff is the fact that it is like a lot of Zappa stuff and a lot of Primer stuff and a lot of these other bands we've talked about, is the fact that it's not, you couldn't turn around and say this song sounds exactly like that song, or that song sounds like that song. Each one of them has their own,
they're unique, thing
for them,
It's we're not. That's the point, is to keep well, there's similar, like there are some similar vibes maybe, but we want the songs to be distinctly unique. It's kind of just, there's certain bands where songs might sound similar one to the other. Well, and I guess all bands in a certain way kind of do, but yeah, there's definitely, that's one of the goals, is to keep people kind of guessing or use different styles, have different themes, have different vibes to each song, so as that they're distinctly unique and that they doesn't sound, you're keeping the listener sort of amused. And that's definitely comes from all those artists like Zappa, Bungle, and Bungle is to me, like, they'll always keep you pulled in as a listener. You can put it on at a party and put in the background and just go and dance with your friends. It's the kind of music that you have to give your undivided attention to, otherwise it's uncomfortable. It's kind of, putting on Mr. Bungle in the background. I remember the first time I ever heard Mr. Bungle, and I was at a party with friends, and we were all smoking a bit of the devil's lettuce or whatever, and having a few drinks, and this Mr. Bungle album, we put on the first Bungle album. This is my first time ever hearing Mr. Bungle. And everyone after a few minutes was like, oh my God, what is this? Turn it off. And then I was just intrigued, and I was like, oh, I'd love to just see what that's about on my own, because it's and then I listened to it with headphones on. That was a life-changing moment. I was just like, oh, because just the way it pulls you in and keeps your undivided attention. It's not made for putting a vibe in the background. It's kind of like, well, some of our music maybe, but most of it, it's kind of like it's off. There's rhythms change and there's stuff like that. So it'd be a distraction to people having a conversation for the most part, that's kind of the goal of it in a sense. Some of it's groovy and you could probably put it on the background, hopefully, but to give everyone their.
I'd like to be at that sort of party. That would be nice.
Yeah. Where everybody just sits down and shuts. No. Well, maybe not.
Here's another video clip.
Welcome to Europe, a land of knights and kings, with bishops, popes, and brutal Vikings. In the family tree, and loyalties in the blood we've spilled for centuries. For blue blood is true blood. We believe in justice and sail to foreign lands to liberate them from savagery and to help them understand that the forks go to the left and the knights go to the right. Oh, the glasses must gleam and reflect the candle lights. The lights of this banquet. Tonight we shall dine with the finest of wine, with the pompous cream of society. Such civilized words never seen, so observe when you're the wisest of fools speak so eloquently.
I must have, the first one I kind of listened to and watched the video for, the video things was Captain Introspective.
That's got some of the South Park stuff on it as well.
The video for that, the way you've got that all ready to get together works so well.
It's really cool. I'm delighted it turned out the way it did. It's like, I did that. I did those montages, and it's cool. I managed to, and we put a little bit of South Park in there as well. And that actually, Captain Introspective, that's a reference also. So Captain Hindsight, originally when I came up with that track, so I wrote the intro and I was like, oh, this sounds kind of like film music. Like, well, it was inspired by, I'd watched a lot of the video, the movie Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon. Yeah. And that music sort of inspired that intro to me. And so I was just like, oh, film music. And I call that, and then I got the rest of the instrumental part. So I was like, it has to be a superhero song about a superhero.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking of taking Captain Hindsight as the, but then obviously, well, it's South Park's thing, but and so Captain Hindsight was originally, and so myself and my friend Tommy, who played on the album, I was just like, hey, can we think of a kind of a useless superhero what would be, well, Captain Introspective with the power of self-analysis. You know, you just kind of,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a kind of an ironic power,
absolutely.
as is Captain Hindsight. Yeah.
That was really good. I really like that. The other one, another one that you did the video for, which I thought was excellent, was the Underground in Europe.
Yeah, that's a cool one. That's probably my favorite montage of because the visual is very much there's that scene out of Braveheart, and that was always actually, even with the music of the Underground in Europe, that part hold. I always had that bit of Braveheart in mind when attack. So so actually getting to do the montage of it, I wanted to get somebody else to do the montage because I was like, I don't know how to do that stuff. And then I was like, well, the time it would take me to be specific to explain everything that I wanted, I was like, I just have to learn how to do this myself. And so, and it was I got Filmora 9, and it wasn't after, once you do a couple of them, I mean, that took a lot of hours to get the Underground in Europe. That took some solid time, but once you get into it, it's you get your bearings. Film editing, maybe you do a bit yourself, or but it's
So another one I like was Vampire Boy. That's a good track.
Vampire Boy, and that's one of the first tracks. So that's on the original EP where we first did. Those were the first bunch of songs, and actually I'm looking forward to playing that one again, because I think it's one of, and it's sort of evolved since then. There's a bit that we didn't get on the recording that we played live since then, and I might actually stick up a live version of it. We have a live version of that with the a pretty cool guitar solo and a breakdown, and yeah, I dig that track. I do, because it's actually kind of about being it's actually kind of biographical about being autobiographical about being somebody who was smoked a lot of doobies back in the day when I was a kid, and just being kind of like on the outside, on the fringes of a fringe group of society, you might say. But that's kind of a reference to what it was about. I didn't think about it at the time, but actually it's about being a stoner kind of. I was when I was younger, and I'm not anymore. But if I did that now, I'd be very paranoid. It doesn't suit me anymore, or I couldn't hack it.
The other one I loved was it stems partly from the music and that, but also my love of horror films was The Leprechaun.
The Leprechaun. Oh yeah, 100%. That's to me is our most probably to date our most marketable song as a kind of a song that could go on the radio, or it could have a little a video and some success. I think, well, that song has the imagery that people recognize. So, and actually the Leprechaun, Warwick Davis, like, he's brilliant. He's the guy who acts the Leprechaun. He loves the Leprechaun. Unfortunately, the franchise was bought by some other guy, some American guy.
All right.
And he started making serious horror movies of it. It's like, you know, the way the Leprechaun's kind of like a B movie, funny. Yeah. Well, he changed it and started making a series, and it's not good, man. It's not good. I know. Good. All the original ones with Warwick Davis, they were most of them are super, up until the end, are super good. They're super fun. I love those. I love those movies.
Yeah, I know. And seeing that on the video on the montage thing was brilliant. It was so well done, and it's kind of obviously I would say it's sort of coming from your roots, as it were.
Yeah. It's the Irish. So I came up with that riff. A lot of people think, like, when they hear that riff, they're like, "Oh, it's Iron Maiden," and I'm like, well, I didn't see it like an Iron Maiden track. I was kind of like, to me, it was like an Irish jig. So but now I understand. Listening to Iron Maiden, because I used to listen to Iron Maiden at all back in the day, and when I wrote that, And after now, when I listen to Iron Maiden, I'm like, okay, because the bass is super faster. It's kind of, I can hear the reason why people would have said it was influenced by Iron Maiden, but because of the impressive bass and guitar unison kind of thing.
They use a lot of what a friend of mine used to call was horse racing bass.
Oh, Iron Maiden, unbelievable musicians. They're great. They're great.
Yeah.
100%.
Werewolf and the banshee. You might have seen him on TV, or when you were tripping on LSD. But now he's singing, sitting on a pot of gold. The gold he earned from the lies he told. He's always out on a boat. The chicken with the fucker never shuts his mouth, saying fiddly-diddly-o-dee, fiddly-diddly-dee. You'll never catch the leprechaun, he always gets me. Fiddly-diddly-o-dee, fiddly-diddly-dee. You'll never catch the leprechaun.
So, right, your first album came out in 2010.
2010, yeah.
Which was
correct.
Taboo.
Yeah.
The new one actually out now, or is it?
Yeah, it's officially out since this year. So
Okay.
it was sort of on it. We'd finished it before COVID and all that, but we dropped it just before Christmas.
Okay.
But it's officially out. Yeah, we've got some distribution in Japan, and we're selling it online. We'd like to find a label for it to be able to print. Well, we're going to go, now that we have most of the press done, we're going to go and look for a label that maybe will be able to print vinyl and
Cool.
and cassette. Well, see, the format of this album, of number 2, is basically, it's really thought like a 1980s or 1970s vinyl or cassette. So you've got like the format where there's 4 songs on one side, 4 songs on the other side. And so we really want to get round to printing vinyl and cassettes for this album, especially.
The good thing is that the vinyl has had a resurgence of interest and is doing quite well. And cassettes are starting to have a resurgence as well now as well.
Collectors, yeah. Now people are missing the physical product, because there's no real emotional attachment. We can listen to an innumerable amount of things all the time, and it's just that having that option, but there's having a product that you can attach. There's emotional attachment to it. Yeah. So, but a cassette tape, I remember. I used to be able to fast forward my Metallica cassettes to the actual song, and and then just go boom, and like skipping it on a CD, but the time it took to get to a certain track, you'd be like, okay, stick on this one. But So my CD collection. I'm only after getting it back now, sort of, and so hopefully I'll get it all back. But yeah, it's I want to start getting into vinyl myself eventually, because I do like the format. I do like the warmth of a vinyl. It's got a very particular warm kind of feel to it, and even though it's something that will be used over time. It's not like infinite, but it doesn't have that infinite quality.
It is one of those weird things. I remember sitting down with a friend of mine the first time that we listened to Dark Side of the Moon on a CD, and I said to him, "This isn't right." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, it hasn't got that click going every couple of seconds. It doesn't have that thing on my album. When I put it on, you'd have this."
Oh, Dark Side of the Moon. That's an unbelievable. Yeah, there's an unbelievable album. Yeah, that's one of the all-time greatest albums of all time.
I know.
Mhm.
So when do you reckon you're going to be able to possibly start getting out there and doing some gigs and things?
Well, I'd say now the way things are lining up, I would hope for before the end of this year, but if not, it'll be hopefully early next year. So
where are you looking to actually play?
So I guess we'll be looking to get a string of gigs around Tokyo. So hopefully go over there first, do a string of gigs around. We have a sort of a distribution deal over there, so
Right.
but we're going to look for tour management over there to help, a representative to help get us better gigs. Well, yeah, we still have to do our PR campaign over there, so it's kind of latent. So hopefully before next year that we'll get over there and do a string of gigs, whether it's like hopefully maybe just 2 weekends of gigs, either 4 dates over the weekend, and then maybe another 4 week. I'd say that's a realistic way of looking at it, that we'll get some decent dates and do a bunch of dates around them over the space of 2 weekends. That'll be our first stint over there, and then bring it back over here and do the same thing, or if not better, hopefully. Yeah. So
you reckon you'll be over here sort of next year?
Next year, probably, hopefully this time next year, maybe a bit later.
Cool.
Hopefully around do a bunch of gigs around the UK, Ireland, France, Europe, Belgium. Hopefully get in a van and bring it out on the road for a month or so.
Well, I look forward to seeing that, because I really would like to come see you live. I know.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to
quite a few people. Unfortunately, they're all musos, but
well, that's our kind of demographic to a certain extent. Yeah, I guess, because it's quirky music. Some people that aren't musicians like it, but a lot of musicians like it. It's kind of like the King Crimson thing, you got like, and a lot of people that like Primus are bass players too. You'll find them like that are really into it. So yeah, it's like they had, but then Primus it sort of transcends that as well. But but prog fans of prog rock music and fans of all the bands that we're sort of influenced by, that's our demographic, and we'll please those people, that group of bands, and it's quite large. So
the good thing about it is that there are places, even at festivals, that you can play. It's when I went to the first Download festival, and they had a prog stage there. I saw Focus, and I saw I saw Zappa.
Oh, Jelly, that must have been incredible. Focus there.
Focus were fantastic. Zappa were on there as well, which was Dweezil.
Oh my God, Dweezil. Oh my God, that's an incredible lineup too. I think Zappa Plays Zappa is top-notch, top-level Zappa playing.
Yeah.
Like it's almost even like Dweezil's incredible. Dweezil as a musician, he's the perfect vehicle for his father's music. he's really good. He's really damn good.
Yeah, I mean, there are places like that even in the middle of a what seemed to be a classic rock festival, you've got a stage where they've got this prog stuff going on.
And there's prog rock, yeah, and one of my friends who helped us record this album and all is in a blues rock band from Ireland, Crow Black Chicken. He was telling me about a couple of festivals over there that there's prog stuff too. So yeah, we'll be looking into that in more detail and getting on these stages.
I think festivals are great for the sort of music that you're doing. It's kind of that
100%.
Kind of,
yeah, it's true.
I think it's what used to be in the 60s be called head music. It's sort of
it's for the wacky. It's the wackier side of the stage. It's the wackier side of the moon.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. It's been great talking to you. I look forward.
An absolute pleasure, and like fair play. I can't believe how much you knew about the band, like that you knew about the band, and
as soon as I saw what you were into and then started listening to the music, I knew I had to find out more about the band, and I had to get you on the show, because it's just like so different and so good to see people doing stuff that's so different.
Really, cheers, man. Thanks a million. I'm glad you dig it, Andy. And
No
really
problem at all.
appreciate it. Really
So
appreciate it.
everyone watching, keep an eye out for City Weezle. Look out for the new album #2 and check them out. I'll put the links up, as I always do, for YouTube channel and social media and that kind of stuff, so you can keep an eye on what's going on. And when they turn to play, when they go out to play wherever it is, Japan, UK, Ireland, anywhere, see if you can get out to go and see them, because I think it'll be a really good night.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Talking Music with Big